I have a lot of questions I'd like to ask. Greetings and salutations everyone, I'm Ekmak, this is Let's Play of the Devil. In the last episode, we got a lot of evidence. A lot of it isn't helpful, but I think this might be one of the guiltiest clients that I've ever defended in an Ace Attorney-like game. Because she's not an AI, but she is so close to it that it might as well be, so we can't tell the truth in court because we do want to help Sarah out. Oh well. Honestly, I'd recommend going, if you're some stranger who wandered into this LP for some reason, then perhaps you could go back and watch the start of the series, unless you're here for my reactions to things you already know are going to happen and I don't. In which case, welcome aboard. Okay, and a lot of swear words I'd like to yell. I'd also like to find the nearest incinerator and toss this journal in. Followed by my phone. And maybe followed by myself. But I can't do any of that. Ray's left me with this diary. If it's destroyed, they'll know I was the one who did it. Which would be its own admission of guilt. Which would land Sarah in the trash compactor anyway, and me in a jail cell. And in the system, and my DNA on file ready to be match any number of previous. So I'm not going to panic. I'm going to do what I do best. Bluff, bet, bully and brutalize my way through this. She is not a good person. She's an entertaining protagonist, but she is not a good person. Now, viewing this with all that mindset, what have I actually learned? He didn't talk about plans for killing himself in his journal or the message. He sounded conflicted, not suicidal. David's journal, the personal journal of David Asher with entries dating back to several years ago. Early entries describe how he and Helen Jung used to drink cheap liquor together from plastic cups to celebrate their victories. Later entries detail Sarah's early growth and David's feelings towards her. Last entry ends abruptly, dated a week ago. Repeal of right to repair. But he did go to great lengths to get me to take Sarah. Why? The logical answer is because he knew he wouldn't be able to keep her. If he wasn't going to take his own life, was he afraid someone else would? 12:27 PM, July 2nd, 2086. So how'd it go? Well, how do I put this? Didn't fight shit. Only reason she ever got to a door is because I chased that scarecrow of Platinum Plan through hell and back. Frankly, it was a godlike feat for me to nail down anything as concrete as an address for these gogs. Gog. A net slang term growing in popularity among adolescents referring to a suspected spy or undercover member of law enforcement. Derived from groundhog, a burrowing rodent known for standing erect on its hind legs when scanning its surroundings for predators. The term carries a negative connotation, with the implication being that the subject is doing a poor job of blending in or disguising their surveillance activity. Easy, Gog spotted. Who wears a blank baseball cap to a protest? And their offices weren't listed on the building's website or directory, so I had to ask the janitor. But you did find a psychiatrist's office? Sort of. They said they were, and the place it, looked the part. Why? Because they had couches? She didn't get past the receptionist. Sorry, I thought because you're with the company. No, I want to help. I just wish I could have done more. Don't beat yourself up, it's harder to be even half as useful as I am. For what it's worth, the atmosphere, the looks, the furniture, it did feel like the company in there. But ultimately, we still don't know if David actually was talking to someone or just getting his CCE training recertified. David Asher supposedly met with a psychiatrist on more than one occasion in the past 3 months. but said psychiatrist worked at an office that reminded Jess of Ignoble. It took Fran hours to locate. It remains unclear whether he was receiving coaching in counter-corporate espionage practices or if he was getting genuine psychiatric care. Sorry. Don't bother apologizing, she only cares about results. You did more than enough, both of you. At the very least, they divided Ignoble's attention for a while. I mean it. Good work, Fran. And thanks for the urgency. If you really mean that, you could always throw in a tip. 30%'s the going rate in my industry. How about I take 5% off your tab instead? Tab? I'm a minor. The state pays for my legal fees. Don't they? Oh no, signal must have cut out. Alright, surprised it took them this long. What do you mean? You were tolerated yesterday because leadership was focused on PR. But today, you're the lawyer who put the company's hottest product right in the state's crosshairs. I'll be alright, I'm still an officer of the court. On a strict timeline though, right? I guess they can't stop you from investigating the corporate campus. But they'll gladly lose your guest pass ID at every door along the way. There are still service passageways and stairwells. Guards that can be fooled, peons that can be manipulated. If I use my other skill set to get around. So take mine! What, your pass? I'll tell them we got ours mixed up in the bathroom or whatever. I can be a pretty convincing klutz when I need to be. I never would have guessed. But if David knew I was endangering your career, I can be a pretty convincing crybaby when I'm in trouble too. Besides, the one and only Dr. David Asher wrote me a new glowing recommendation every quarter I worked for him, since he kept forgetting that he already had. And who knows, maybe I should try a new field. This detective work stuff is pretty fun, so maybe... like, I don't know, secretary for a homicide detective or something? You did say cops are all lazy? A girl with managerial skills could go far? Honestly, Jess? I doubt they could afford you. 12:46 PM, July 2nd, 2086. Morgan, how did you get so turned around? God only knows. Lucky I found my way here, though. It's such a relief to see a familiar face. Right. Listen, Morgan, I'm not sure I should actually be talking to you without legal present. Oh. I mean, leadership hasn't even told us how David died. How much help could I be? I see. It's not that I don't trust you or anything, it's just I think, what with the Sarah issue, you should do whatever you have to do to protect yourself, Dawes. Yeah. Though, for what it's worth, I doubt you'll be in any trouble. That's good to hear. No, if it's anything, then it's the big names who are going down. Going down? State was practically licking its lips when I finally left the courthouse last night. They're hungry for blood. They're looking to carve out a huge slice of Ignoble's flesh. What, like fines and jail time? In the first 2 weeks, sure. Then, sanctions. Sanctions are financial restrictions imposed by the state against corporations or foreign governments as a punitive measure. They are a key tool in statecraft, international negotiations, in discouraging corporate malfeasance. Under certain conditions, the state might choose to place sanctions not on an organization but on an individual, thereby preventing them from exchanging currency issued by that nation or withdrawing funds from banks that operate within that country's borders, effectively freezing all their assets and possibly preventing them from leaving the country. They can't sanction Ignoble. Where? Too big to fail? Too valuable to lose? You're exactly right, that's what they'll say. And that's how they'll justify nationalizing the company. I think I'm gonna be sick. I just hope your board goes quietly instead of what? Scapegoating? Offering up smaller names on silver platters? Full cooperation and government oversight on the surface, a slaughter beneath. as they clean house and rip out anyone who could testify. No one will believe you once you're labelled a disgruntled former employee, right? And if the public's lost faith in the Animate 16 as they can't do a recall, not at this scale, the state will make them do a flat refund. Flat refund? The losses would be... Yeah, your board just wants Sarah to go away so they can focus on their fight with the state. A tough fight, but once they know they won't personally have it to... Well, they know they won't have personally... They won't personally have to risk anything in. That's why I'm hoping I can win this trial. Well, if I won, that means Sarah's not an AI. David Asher was always of sound mind, and there's nothing wrong with Animate 16. Everyone wins. Sorry, what am I saying? I only meant to stop by and thank you for your help yesterday. After all, you were the one who approved Sarah's registration. You win. Win what? Ask away. Saving! We're saving this man's trauma. Well, if you insist. Why can't I access this thing on 10? It must be locked by progression. Noble and AIs. Humour me for a moment. What's the company's official statement on AI? Same as any rational company that wants to make money. We don't screw with it. Smart products are profitable. Products with their own priorities are anything but. That being said, AI is concerned for marketing, not product development. We spend a lot of money reassuring our public that there's no risk, because the public doesn't really understand how ironclad the tenets are. Because you use Tesseract? Trying to code an AI in Tess is like trying to pick yourself up and throw yourself. Nonsensical and self-defeating. Your scanner showed Sarah was running on Tesseract yesterday. If the language is as safe as you say, isn't that proof enough? Proof of nothing. For an AI, lying to another system about the code you're running is child's play. And for an AI built by David Asher, something that simple would be... Better change the subject. Wait, so making an AI takes more time than time and resources? It isn't an issue of funding? No, you can't just keep adding more data. The tenets underlie everything. The higher you stack, the more easily you'll topple. You make it sound like building an AI is impossible, even for David Asher. Any chance you'll testify to that? It sounds impossible, but he's dead, and it looks like it was his android that did it. So I guess he was just that good. Better than you'll ever know. Oh, and that unlocks the tenets. Okay. I know you're convinced the tenets are safe. So how do you square that with what happened to David? There's a cat next to a dog. First answer to that comes right to mind. Is the dog to the left or to the right? Left. I'd say left. The dog is on the left, the cat is on the right. You might expect half of people to say left, half to say right. But because you give the option of left first, it makes people more likely to pick that one. But actually, their answer is almost entirely dependent on their native tongue. Whether it's read right to left or left to right. The language they speak affects how they process information. Their language affects how they think. And it's the same for machines. People can learn new languages, and it can change our perspective. But machines can't learn a new source code. Every update's a reincarnation. If that android did kill David, it wasn't because a 0 returned as a 1 somewhere. It's because there's something fundamentally wrong with it. And personally, I think it's cruel to bring something that flawed into the world. Yeah, unnecessarily cruel. Okay, tell me about the Animate 16. Noble spent months promoting the A16 as the culmination of David Asher's work. So now that the marketing line is suddenly a huge liability, Can you tell me how much he actually contributed it? I mean, he was involved in pretty much every step of the process, but his design for synthetic motor neurons, that was the big one. The components that allow your warm androids to move realistically. It pushed the timetable for warm androids ahead by years. And yet, compared to what goes on in Sarah's brain 1,000 times a second, David was only giving the company the most meager fruits that his private work bore. So if Ignoble did find out how much he and his assistants had achieved, they would feel that he had been holding out on them. And the company, they were appreciative of his contributions? I'm sure the researchers that he overtook by leaps and bounds weren't pleased, but the board was very enthusiastic. So would that spur them to be protective of David? Or would they fear that he was gaining too much influence, becoming irreplaceable? No, they'd need a strong motive to killing their golden goose. Mere paranoia isn't enough. With these people, it has to be the bottom line. And the easiest way to threaten their bottom line would be screwing with their androids. In light of all that's happened, one has to wonder if the A-16 is compromised. I stayed up all night sick with dread at the idea. But the data just doesn't support it. Sales have been strong. The A-16 base code was locked in over 2 quarters ago. If there were an issue, we would have caught it by now. And I would have been axed a long time ago. How many A-16s are out there anyway? We just passed 9 million sold. Not flying off the shelves like 14 or 15 so far, but the profit margin makes up for it. You mentioned data. Yeah, practically got the spreadsheet seared into my retinas. What do you want to know? Error reports feels like the most useful in... hang on. We might have to ask all of them. I think out of all of them, error reports is the most useful here though. Although distribution patterns and shipping are interesting. Actually, distribution patterns and shipping feel like similar questions. Error reports is the standout one. Always go for the option that doesn't quite match up with the others. What do the error reports look like? Are customers reporting a lot of issues? Error counts are markedly low compared to the last gen. Mostly hardware complaints it looks like. Batteries running out too quickly, eyes tracking off by a degree or two. Typical stuff? As cliched as it sounds, 99% of these things get fixed once they turn the auto updates back on. So no killer robots getting fired away under bug reports. Oh, I guess we are getting everything. How and where are they being sold? What's the distribution pattern look like? They're distributed like you'd expect. Places where there are more people, there are more androids. Coastal cities like ours, of course, have the most of both. And since the A-16 in particular is marketed as being relatively luxury, relatively consumer, they don't sell well outside of population centers. Hang on. Did I leave? I left Discord on. Sorry. They can do the rural, hard labor jobs, but cold models can do the same work with a lot less maintenance. So where has the A-16 outperformed then? Customer service, healthcare, childcare, lots of hospitals, offices, and, you know, adult industries. Oh. Dorothy Hayes type work. Sorry, didn't mean to be blunt, No, it makes sense. They're warm and soft to the touch and... obedient. I'm just surprised to hear it from a company employee. There are a lot of people at the company who won't talk about it. But I work in quality assurance. I've seen too many damages to pretend it's not happening. Damages? What we call it when a customer tries to return a product that's clearly broken beyond repair. Oh. Very high turnover in the pink market. hasn't stopped you from selling to them. Well, we don't sell to them, not directly. But they are resellers and the company's never pretended to be interested in going after them. Are there resellers? I thought I read that Right to Repair got shot down again. Ooh! Reference to the thing that she read. There's been a grey market for softer androids for years, or decades depending on your definition of android. Based on the sales numbers I've seen, RTR getting canned was barely a blip on their radar. Sorry, didn't mean to make you uncomfortable with this topic. Huh? Me? No, I don't care. I just realised my left sock's on inside out. Damn. Now I'm wondering about that myself. He bought that. Shipping. This floor is basically a showroom, but you have a real factory a while south of the city limits, correct? Yeah, biggest company manufacturing complex in the hemisphere. Got any data on the shipping out of there? Anything stand out? There's some prep work for the holiday bump, looks like. Might sound early to get started now, but we usually see... Something wrong? No, the numbers are all normal, but the data has been edited. Is that unusual? Well, this section's just a count of how many who are sent where. There's not a lot of room for errors, so there shouldn't be much need for corrections. There's no problem though, I can view the edit history and see what was fixed. Okay, that's weird. Was something added? Deleted? No. The overall sum's the same, it's just a bunch of swaps. Like here, 29 FFCE -010311 taken out, returned for adjustments. 27 FCDD 001 9634 substituted in, shipment leaves on time. Return to assembly for revisions, replaced, shipment leaves on time. So does all that strike you as odd, Mr. Dawes? Replacements before shipping isn't uncommon, but when it happens by the batch load. To spot individual unit perfections among a shipment at that stage in the process must have been someone with a lot of experience or authority. Probably both. Must have? You don't know who made these changes? I can tell you they were somebody important. Small last minute changes to which androids got shipped out. Not very juicy on its own, it's a long ways away from explaining why someone would want to kill David. But it was hidden, and that means someone didn't want it found. Shipping data. Logs detailing the shipping information for several thousand different Animate 16 warm androids sold by Ignoble Electronics over the last few months shows a number of individual models being swapped out before shipping. The data shows signs of being tampered with, or at least edited fairly recently, something only employees at even Dwarves level or above could do. What if this just turns out to be more of David Ash's assistants, realizing, oh hey, here's some things that we need to fix up, don't worry, we're on it already, we've already done it, no need to hassle yourself. Or maybe someone made a fake Sarah to murder David Asher. Because she doesn't have memories of that time. You don't need a Sarah that lasts that long. You don't need a Sarah that can perform as well as Sarah can. You just need a Sarah that looks like Sarah. You just need a fake that looks like Sarah that can poison David Asher. That said, that's one of those Yasuhiro type theories where you're just throwing ideas out there without any basis behind them. Okay, thanks for sharing that data. Sure, did you find what you were looking for? Hell if I know. Fair enough. Any other questions before I go find a hole to hide my head in? I'd like you to take a look at this. Chemistry's a little outside my purview. What is this? A compound found in David Asher's blood. The poison? What is it? It didn't match anything in the database the medical examiner had access to. That's crazy. Here's a crazy idea to follow it up. See if it's a match for anything in Ignoble's internal databanks. We don't make poison here. I'm not sure what that would accomplish. No, but this is a factory floor. You could be making baby blankets out there. You could be making baby blankets out there. You'd still have hazardous materials around. You think it was something industrial? Suppose it could be. Looks like it's carbon-based. Narrows it down a lot. It's not exactly... What is it? Doesn't make any sense. But it's a match for patent NOD 52345S. A synthetically produced neurotransmitter analog for usage in organic android components. Cyanotonin. A substance found in the bloodstream of David Asher after his death has many similarities to the chemical makeup of a depressant drug. Produced by Ignoble Electronics as a patent-protected synthetic neurotransmitter, a key ingredient in every warm android they manufacture. That explains a lot. A neurotransmitter would interact directly with the nervous system, in David's case depressing it enough to put his life in danger. It also explains what was a preset in his personal manufacturer. Sarah's nervous system, worth 10 times its weight in platinum, must be pumped full of it. So they think that was what killed him? Helen Jung led the development of serotonin, didn't she? Yeah, she did. I should go ask her about his composition then. Normally someone at her level wouldn't be able to answer specific questions about a compound formulated years ago. But she does have a reputation of being very detailed-oriented. That works out nicely then. They say she's the type of person to micromanage how much water people drink at a 15-minute stand-up. I heard a rumor that she once said, bathroom breaks are timesheet theft. Aren't they? I'm kidding. But you should be careful about criticizing a superior where people could be listening. Good thing we've got the privacy in your office. No one but the two of us listening in. Thanks for cooperating, Doors. When the stage storms the building and starts zip-dying people, I'll let them know that you were helpful. Yeah, nice joke. You are joking, right? One more thing. Actually, there's one more thing I wanted to ask you. What's that? How long have you been a corporate spy? What? Yesterday, you let it slip that you were working in consulting. Had your guard down because I'm not part of the industry? I was a consultant. What are you talking about? When I walked in here, you said you didn't know how David died. But just now, you called cyanotonin a poison. What? I just assumed if a chemical was found in a dead man, and I'm sure you've got practiced answers to every logical point I could raise, so I'll just say this. Does the nervous guy bit really work on people? Keep you cool, and people don't know what you're thinking. But if you act a little jumpy, they feel inclined to calm you down. Before they know it, they're spilling their guts just to have something to fill the silence with. So it's not entirely an act these days. To answer your question, I did 3 tours in consulting. 4 quarters of internal affairs spy hunting at the Western Division. Then 8 embedded at Howe Industries. 24 months wearing different faces, answering different names, sleeping for 1 hour at a time with a 3D printed shiv under my pillow. My nerves are completely shot. My cover wouldn't last a day if I went back under. So you're a spy for Noble. Retired. You're working 6 days a week. 5.5 days a week and in quality assurance. Trust me, this position is a cushy, generous reward for my past services. Though you can't be that retired, you clearly know more than you're letting on. I have some old inboxes I still check. So can you tell me what the hell is happening around here? Why I'm the one investigating David's death while your old co-workers are off twiddling their thumbs? It's that story. The soldier, the blood transfusion. Blood, not oxygen. He's finally shooting straight. Did something happen to him afterwards? Did the transfusion not last? No, there's nothing wrong with the blood. It's the story itself. A cave opens. Interesting name for a soundtrack. There was a soldier. He did get injured, but it was on a base during a training exercise. There was a medical tent 10 meters away the whole time. The transfusion was just a fortuitous live test. His life was never in any danger. Doesn't make for much of a tearjerker. Not even a good photo op, which our competitors understood. One of them, maybe a few of them, got a hold of the story, started puffing it up, astroturfing, painting over socials and virals. By the next morning, we had the military thinking we're leaking like a sieve. Meanwhile, the media is bombarding us with requests for videos and interviews and data, and the state's praising our tech with one side of their mouth while threatening to mist us with the other half for getting so greedy. Everyone in Ignoble CCE has been slammed ever since. Trying to find an off-ramp for the story we can walk back the claims on without torpedoing our state contracts. I don't know what happened to Asher, whether it was AI gone rogue or company infighting gone too far. But I can tell you, it wasn't done by consultants. Uncover the power plays at work inside Ignoble Electronics. This feels like a good place to wrap up the episode, so until next time guys, take care, I'll see you all around. It is nice to get back into this game.